Hey everybody, welcome to the 10K Project. So here we are all about economic development and the business of growing the Black community and the Black economy. So today's session is all about how to start a tech company without knowing how to code. I have a very good friend of mine here, Ron Story Jr. He's coming all the way from Colombia. Colombia, the country is where he lives right now. And he's got a wealth of information for us. So some of you have put in whether you are currently running a tech company, you're thinking of starting one, or you're just here to eavesdrop. No matter what stage you're in and why you came today, you are going to be in for a treat. So welcome, Ron.
Hey, thanks for having me. I promise to share all of my mistakes because that's where I think wisdom comes from. It comes from breaking things, and I've broken a lot of things. So
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And of course, we got the beautiful Talisha here, who is also has been in technology for the past 20 years. So I'm sure she will also give us some words of wisdom when it comes to starting different types of tech companies. So hey, Talisha.
Hello, and yes, breaking things is all about my business. I'm the person who you wanted to. I'm going to break your system. Trust me.
And actually, so for people who are looking for career advancement, because that's one of the things we'll be talking about as well as different types of careers that people can get into, there is a career for people who know how to break stuff.
Yes, I do.
And they make good money.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm considered the oracle of breaking things at my job.
Yeah. I worked with a company
I don't smoke
once.
cigarettes. I do bake the cookies, and I haven't seen Neo in a while, but yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, I worked at a company once where actually they were putting in a new accounting system, and the manager that was over me, her whole job for like 6 months was to break the system continuously. That was it. And if she wasn't breaking something, she wasn't doing her job. So yeah, so people get paid good money for that. So but let's dive in. So Ron, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Your story is very fascinating, and tell people how you got to starting tech companies without knowing how to code.
Okay, so my background is I was born and raised in East St. Louis, Illinois, across the river from the Arch, and everybody knows East St. Louis because of sports and music and entertainment. A lot of Olympic athletes, professional athletes have come from East St. Louis, so that's where I'm from. But I'm 5'6", so playing basketball wasn't in the cards. Weighing 150 pounds, football wasn't in the cards. So I had to focus on what I was good at, which was kind of being creative, and creative in a way where it wasn't that I was an artist or anything like that, but I was always inventive. Like I could go out and just hack stuff together and make it work. So my teachers told me I should go to school for engineering because I was always engineering things. And I ended up going to the University of Illinois. I failed out of the engineering program my freshman year. And all that I knew to fall back on was my ability to sell stuff, try to convince people to do things. So I started writing business plans in 1997, used that money to, pay for college eventually. Ended up going to Illinois State University in their first entrepreneurship program. Became a financial advisor, did that for 12 years. And then I just got tired of the building someone else's business. So in the financial services business, they tell you you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? And to the agent, that means, oh, well, we're here to help you, right? But in reality, what that means is they own the business. You're just doing all the sales. You really don't own the business, but you're taking all the risk. So I got tired of that. And I said, you know what, why don't I move out to California and try to chase this tech boom in 2012. But St. Louis was building its own little tech scene at the time. And I got involved in that, and I never looked back. Started working for a couple of startups in St. Louis as a consultant. What I learned was that most developers know how to code, but they don't know how to sell, right? So I used to always say, look, you can't code. I mean, I can't code, but you can't sell. So we need each other somehow, right? So I worked out deals with local startups in St. Louis. I've worked with some of the venture capital firms with their portfolio companies to teach them how to sell things. In that process, I learned something called customer development. And what customer development is where you go out and you talk to your customers and you try to sell them the product before it exists, right? Well, that made total sense to me because I sold life insurance, right? Because you got to sell life insurance before you need it. Like when someone's dead, they can't go buy life insurance. So I'm used to doing customer development, selling people stuff that they're never going to benefit from until down the road, right? So when I used to sell life insurance, I took that same process and brought it over into the tech world. So I would go out and I would interview people and say, hey, what problem are you trying to solve, right? So if you're starting any business, the first thing you have is the customer with a problem, right? And so that's how I got involved in it. I started off solving problems for people and eventually tried to turn those problems into automated solutions.
Can you give us an example of like one of the solutions you pre-sold, or, you know,
Yeah,
because
I'll give
you have
you.
some great, yeah, you have some great stories around that.
Yeah, can I? I don't know if they can share my screen, but
Yeah,
there
I
was
think
one.
you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, so there's a product that's still out there that still should. I should be able to show it to you all. And basically, I was working with these insurance agents, and they were saying, well, you know, I have telemarketers that call on the phone, and then every day they fill out these papers when people want auto insurance quotes. So they would fax those into them every morning because there was, you know, people didn't have scanners or your phone wasn't a good scanner. So they would literally go to a fax machine and fax these 20 pieces of paper to a person. I'm like, you know that there's forums on the internet where you can just type in information and tomorrow morning you can wake up and look at all the data that your customers put in there. They're like, huh? And I'm like, no, you can do this really quickly. So I bought a little form builder that was white label. White labeling is an easy way to start a tech company without knowing how to code. White label somebody else's stuff and put your brand on it and market it, right? So I bought this Wuzoo form thing. I can't think, Wufoo Forms or something. They had a white label version. I took it, I customized it, and I sold it for $10 a month per user for insurance agents for their telemarketers to be able to eliminate the fax machine, right? So think about they could get the same results without using any paper, and they didn't have to pay for an extra phone line because every person was paying for like a digital fax type of thing for $20 a month for e-fax or something like that, right? So that's one of the easiest solutions, just listening to a problem that they had, and we turned it into a quick solution, you know?
So let me interject
Go ahead.
there. And so you came from that industry. So you already knew that industry and you already knew what a problem was. And then you talked to a whole bunch of people and also, you know, said, okay, let's solve that problem. How
Well,
important?
I came from the industry, but we didn't use telemarketers in our office, right?
Okay, so you knew the
So
industry. Did you already, I guess what I'm trying to ask is if people are going into an industry that they don't know at all,
mhm.
is it, or I guess I should change the way I'm asking it. Is it better for people to go into an industry that they know something about and then try to create some technology solution around it, or can someone go in
No,
cold?
yeah, see, the problem, everything is focused around a problem, right?
Hmm.
I think business is industry agnostic because, you know, if you'd have told me 20 years ago that I would be making software, you know, I would have never said that, right? But if I said, well, I only got to stick with insurance, I would have never gotten out of the insurance business and got into the software business. So I think you can solve problems wherever you are with technology. So like one of my main products now is for speakers. I'm not a public speaker. I do these podcasts and things like that, but that's not my background. I don't make money speaking. So I knew nothing about the industry. It was something that one of my friends came to me and said, hey, you're good at setting appointments for people. Can you set appointments for me to get booked for speaking gigs, right? I heard that problem. I turned that into a product, right? So as you see on the screen, this is Quote Relay, goodbye paper quote sheet, right? So this is the original. I mean, this is a $99 white label product that I use. I'm probably breaking their terms and conditions by using it, but they don't know about it, so I don't care, right? They probably have some rules that I can't do this, but it's been up for 12 years. So, you know, and if you click in the middle, it plays the little, I mean, I didn't spend a bunch of money. This is really cheap. And it's just a little dinky video with words, not even a person on there, right? So this is the first software company that I started without knowing how to code, and it cost me $99. That's it.
Very cool, especially the price.
Yeah, it was cheap, right? But I mean, it's a form. I mean, if you click, I don't know why this is. It's called Mock Forms. There it is, right? But it's just called Mock Form. I'll show you the Mock Forms is the company. I think they still charge $99 for this. So if anybody has knows some people that are using fax machines, yeah, you get a self-hosted form, $59. You see that one time? They actually ripped me off because they lowered the price though. Because I paid $99 at the time. Self-hosted. This is my own right here. Yeah. I mean, this is the exact product. If you look at the homepage, it's the same thing. It's nothing different. All I did was put my logo on it. Right? And, you know, people paid me $10 a month for it. Yep. Any other questions on this before I get off of here and stop sharing?
Talisha?
No, I don't think there's any questions in there. But that, I think this is a great aspect too of matching a problem with a solution, because I think people always think of tech as you start there and it truly is the end game product. It's not something that you go out. The problem is truly what you need to wrap your head around and really define what that is. You can have a multiplicity of things in the background that can solve that. And this is a great example. This was just like a form, and there's a whole host of things that could do that. But a simple web form was the suitable tech to solve that problem for them. And that's sometimes what you're looking at, because there's a whole thing, you know, an array of things that you could choose. So I don't think it's always beholden that you start with, I want this product to be like this. It's like the tech is kind of in the background anyway. You don't really know or care. You just want the problem solved as efficiently as possible. So I think that's a really great way to kind of go about it.
Well, one of the things I found, one of the main things that I've learned is that nobody cares about my ideas, right? People only care about their problems being solved, right? So, but at the same time, people will complain about a lot of things that they're not willing to pay to make go away, right? So the reason why customer development is so important is that you're going out and you're talking to people directly and saying, hey, what problem do you have that I can help you to solve, right? And if they don't have a problem that, so we talk about multivitamins and painkillers, right? A lot of our good ideas are multivitamins. You don't need it every day, but that painkiller, they willing to take that Tylenol. People willing to take this goofy vaccine for this little virus that we have now, because it's destroyed life for most people, right? But if it was just a multivitamin, like, oh, it's cool, I might do it. Nobody takes their vitamins every day, but people will take a Advil when they got that screaming for Excedrin thing, you know? They got a headache this big. That's what you want. You want the headaches that are this big, right?
I agree with that. And I do think that, at least in business, so I know the B2B sector, which stands for business to business for everybody. In the B2B sector, either you have to help people make more money, save more money, or like reduce the time to do something, you know? And if you're able to do any one of those three things and they care about it enough, because if it's enough of a business impact on them, then they will pay for it. And one of the things also that Ron talked about, which I just really want to accentuate for everybody, is the fact that it has to be something that people are willing to pay for. There are certain pain points in a consumer's life and in a business owner's life that they are not willing to pay for. There are also vitamins. Just because I was talking with somebody about it a couple of days ago. The Black Panther movie, for example, it wasn't a painkiller. It was like this joy that we all felt, for example, but everyone still went out to, you know, to watch it and view it. And a lot of people paid, you know, to go to the movies, and they had their African garb, and, you know, it was like this whole subculture thing. But it wasn't a pain, or maybe it was a painkiller. I don't know.
Well, let me tell you why it was a painkiller. I think Black Panther you talk about the animated movie, right? The
I
X-Men
was
movie.
talking about the Chadwick Boseman because that we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah, the
about.
X-Men. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the X-Men movie. All right, that's a painkiller because we needed the esteem, right? We needed the self-esteem and positive imagery. So we were willing to go see it 4 times and dress up like them and because we wanted that pride. That's an esteem thing. That's why Tony Robbins makes so much money
Mhm.
because he sells esteem. It's a self-image thing. That is definitely a psychological pain that we didn't. That's why we're still saying Black Lives Matter,
Mhm.
right? That's why when you go on my company's page now, and on our page, we got all Black people. Even our mannequins are Black on our software page because I need that pride to let folks know that, yo, if you got a problem with me being a Black owner, which I've had people say that to me before, then you shouldn't use my product, right? So there is that pain, that pain that Black Panther solved.
Mhm.
You know, I
I can
mean,
respect
even
that.
though it felt good, but it was some painkillers feel good. Let's, you know.
I think this is where it's not only painkillers, it's prophylactic, and then there's ecstasy. Some people use drugs for the purpose of making you feel better, not just making you feel well. So there are a whole host of things, and that's the beauty industry. The beauty industry tells you have a problem. You're not even saying it to yourself. You are comparing, and they constantly bombard you with that message of you have the problem. We're going to tell you what it is. It's your eyebrows, it's your nose, it's your color, whatever, and I have a solution for you. So sometimes it's the opposite, is to make yourself feel better because you're telling me there's a deficit that I have, and that's where you have to fill the gap in. And that's across all boards. I think that's where you have to find that not only the problem, but a problem that really does impact the business, and they know it. It's not like, oh, I could just, we'll work around that, or we have good ways to maneuver. It's something that definitely sticks into them, and they have to maneuver about it, and it's uncomfortable for them.
Can I give you the magic question to answer that, so you never have to wonder what that problem is? I'll give you the magic question. What problem would you pay to make go away tomorrow?
That's a good one.
That's it. Just go in and ask everybody. Ask 100 people that in the same industry. And if 40 of them say the same thing, build that. Right? So what problem would you pay to make go away tomorrow? And, you know, I remember when I first was on here with Cherie, I said, Cherie, what problem would you pay to make go away tomorrow? Well, I have a problem finding leads and appointments. Okay. All right. Can I help you with that? And do it manually first. Right? So the key to building a bootstrap software company is not going out and raising a bunch of money. It's doing it manually first, so you understand the pain as a user, right? And then you start automating that process as you go through. So, you know, when I started the current company, PitchDB, it's a derivative of a main company that I own now called Five Contacts, which is a database of email addresses where we do cold outreach for people. Well, someone came to me and said, can you get me booked for speaking gigs? Well, I'm not a speaker, so I've never gone through that process before. So I manually started a service getting people booked on podcasts and speaking gigs. While we were putting together the software, I was manually doing it, right? And guess where the money went from me manually doing that? It went to pay the software developers, right? Because people were willing to give me $500 a month to send out emails to get them booked for gigs. Because if they're gonna get booked for $8,000, you're only paying me $500. Cool, give it to me. That's an easy trade-off for them, right? So people were paying me to do the outreach while I was taking that money and paying the developers to build the automated software in the background. And then I started using that software myself to find all the bugs and everything. So I knew what was going wrong with it, what was right with it. And then we started bringing customers on down the road. So the key question in customer development is, what problem would you pay to make go away tomorrow, right? All of us have some problem we would pay to make go away tomorrow. Start there, and then try to automate those processes.
So Capri asked a question, and it goes into what you were just saying. And I have a response, but I'm interested in hearing both Ron and Talisha what your response is. How do you get in contact with the customer?
Oh, that's really easy. The easiest way to find prospects is on the phone or LinkedIn. LinkedIn automation is genius, right? I use a product called WeConnect, which is incredible because it just automatically reaches out to 100 people every day for me, right? And I send them a very simple message. Hey, I'm trying to solve a problem for this group. Can you help me, right? I'll share a company Here, I'll share something with you. I'm going to share my screen again. And there's a company called HIPAA-Trek. And HIPAA-Trek is founded by my friend Sarah Batterman. And it's a HIPAA compliant software company. Now, Sarah was a HIPAA compliant officer for a medical group at one point. And she was doing all of this stuff. She was like, well, why hasn't someone solved this technologically? So I remember the first day I met her, she told me what it was. And she was like, oh, but I'm shy. We don't have any customers. And she went through this whole thing. And she told me the next day she was going to be out trying to sell. I saw her the next day, literally sitting in the hallway at our office crying, like boo-hooing crying. And I said, Sarah, what's wrong? And she told me about her process of going out to reach out to doctors, and they were all kicking her out of the office, right? And I said, well, what did you go in and say? She said, well, I went in and I told them, hey, I'm creating this software. Would you like to try it? And they were like, no, leave, right? So I said, well, let me teach you a little sales. So I sat in a room with her for a couple of hours, and I'll show you what I told her to do. I told her, go in dressed up as if you're a compliance officer for the state. So put on a suit and take in a billfold, like a leather bound thing, and go in and walk right into the receptionist. Do not smile. Do not say anything to her other than, who do I talk to about HIPAA violations? I told her that's going to scare the crap out of the receptionist, and they're going to go get the person you should be selling to, right? They rushed. She told me they rushed. They would go get the person, and they would come in. And I said, the next thing you say out of your mouth is not speaking or anything. Don't introduce yourself. Say, can we have a private room where we can talk? And they would instantly take her into the conference room, right? And she gets into the conference room. She says, the reason why I want to talk to you is that I'm a HIPAA compliance. I'm building some software, and I'm trying to solve these problems for HIPAA coordinators in the city. I'm doing a survey. Can you help me with the survey? The psychology behind that is that anything other than you've messed up and you're about to get fined $10,000 for a HIPAA compliance thing, that person's happy to see you at that point, right? The next day, she went out and did this. She got 19 people to fill out, 19 out of 20 to fill out her survey. She sold $300,000 worth of this software in the first 6 months just doing that. And it didn't even exist. It didn't exist. She used that 300 grand to build it. It did not exist when she went to those people's offices, right? Now, I'm not telling you have to do something that hardcore, but I'm showing you the extremes that you can go to if you really needed to force your way into someone's, life. But just use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is easy.
Yeah, Talisha, what was your thought? So the question was, how do you get in front of consumers and prospects?
I would say the same thing, is that you find, where they are. And if that is, through social media groups or, industries, that becomes the issue. Go to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Trade shows, I think meetups are amazingly fun. And again, we have social media that helps you immediately find where these people are, because there's a group for everything. You can instantly go to that group and be like, hey, but you can't go and say, hey, I'm going to sell you something immediately. That's not, you do have to do the level of engagement and some type of interaction, and that becomes the issue. I love LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is truly underutilized because there's so much that can happen on that platform, and we talk about it a lot here. But LinkedIn will get you where you want to go. Twitter, another place you can reach out to people directly, like find where they are, what they do, and just be like, hey, I need to talk to you. And sometimes they actually talk to you back. So that's my suggestion.
So I'm sharing my screen here, and I'm going to show you a way to do this. Everybody has 1,000 friends on Facebook or whatever. On your Facebook page, just post. I want to do a survey of lawyers. If you're trying to work with lawyers, I'm trying to survey accountants. People will tag people in your comments for you to do your survey with, right? And then once you survey them, and I'll give you this survey I put together, my customer development survey. I'll give it to you, Cherie, so you can share it in the group.
Perfect.
But basically, at the end of that survey, all you do is ask, hey, how did you feel about me doing this survey, right? And they'll say, oh, it was cool, because you're not trying to sell them anything. You're just trying to get answers, right? And then they'll say, oh, yeah, this was fine. You say, well, hey, if I decide to build this, or if we decide to solve this problem after I complete my other 100 surveys, can I call you back as one of our first users? And they'll either say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
If they say yeah, that means you just kind of made a sale, but you just haven't gotten the money yet, right? And then the next question, the third most important question is, as I mentioned to you, I'm trying to complete 200 of these surveys. Can you introduce me to 5 other people in your industry that I can ask the same questions to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of my friends here, I can't scroll down enough to show it, but basically she helps people to write books, right? And I said, well, what is it that people do? She helps Christian women write books. So, well, what do they really want? Like, what's exciting about what you're doing? She's like, well, I do this seminar down here in Trinidad and Tobago. I said, okay, I got the perfect thing. Post on your sign, who wants to come to Trinidad after COVID? We're doing a women's trip to Trinidad after COVID. Who wants to do it? She had 100 and some comments in 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Now message all those people and say, hey, I don't know if you're interested, but this is actually for like a writing course. Have you ever thought about writing a book? That's 100 prospects right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How sweet is
All
that?
came
Just
true.
yeah, because she found out what they wanted. Everybody was tired of COVID in July. We were like, look, whatever, get me out of here. Let me go somewhere, right? So who would have come to Trinidad after the whatever this thing is, the pandemic, and that worked. So finding that, being willing to do the surveys, and I'll give you the survey so it solves that problem.
Perfect. So I know one of the things we did within the 10K project is that we held focus groups. So I like focus groups depending on what it is, obviously. I like focus groups because what tends to happen is you'll get a group of 10, 20 people together, and one person will say something, and then the next person will say something else, and then next thing you know, you've got ideation happening as well. Like, okay, yeah, here are the top 3 things that we really need this technology to solve, or the solution to do for us. And if it did it, and one of the things we asked, and Talisha was there, was, about pricing and things like that. Hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. And we got overwhelming yeses for the 10K project. And we also got like introductions to other people and things like that. And the ball started rolling. I personally, as a business plan writer, I've seen this. The businesses I've seen do really well have natural traction, where people recognize it as it's something that's needed, and they're willing either to pay for it, or they know someone who's willing to pay for it, or right away that person is not your prospect.
Mm-hmm.
The things that have, at least for me, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, that I try to let go of are things that are super hard sales. If it takes a long time for people to grasp what you're doing, or for them to say yes, you probably don't have something, that people want.
Well, this eliminates that,
Mm-hmm.
right? The customer development process eliminates that mishap,
Yes.
right? So there's a great book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, where he goes through this, right? But the problem is that people skip the customer development part because they already have an idea. And they just want to adopt Lean Startup to their idea. But that ain't Lean Startup,
Exactly.
right?
Uh-huh.
So you got to start from the beginning and follow Eric Ries's formula, him and I can't think of the other guy, but there's some great videos on YouTube about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But customer development is where it starts. And if you skip that, then don't build a product, because you're going to be screwed. You're going to waste a lot of money. But start with the customer development, and then you already have customers. Before you even build it, you already got the people. So there's no question of, I don't know if this solves for this, or if this, no. I know it solves the problem because I collected some money from these people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That
I
also,
got them to pay me to do it already. And if you're willing to pay me to do it manually, I know you'll pay to have it automated, because that just allows me to scale, right?
I mean,
So you can
it's
skip
always-
a lot of the headaches just by doing the surveys.
it's a very good start. I mean, that is the validation process. Again, I think people are very much wedded to their idea rather than married to a solution.
Exactly.
You want that whole, like, I've created this whole behemoth thing in my mind, and now I want validation from it. I'm like, why are you going in the opposite direction? Get the solution. Somebody's going to tell you what it is. You won't need validation. You'll have accuracy. You'll have them saying what it is.
And most of the validation that we get from our ideas are from people that would never buy from us anyway. It's our friends and family that are saying, "Oh, that's cool. My baby's smart, and my cousin is smart, and they ain't even your customer base. Why are you asking those idiots? They're not even your customer base. Ask the
And they
people
will
who
not buy
actually
it
gonna
from
pay
you.
you."
Yes.
They are not going
You
to
know?
buy it.
And the truth is, the people who buy it, who do not care whether or not your mortgage is paid, when you have quite a few people doing that, then you really know you have something, you know.
Oh,
So
exactly.
Ron is right.
Yeah, I mean, here's one more little small thing, right? So in that survey, there's the second question, which is, if I decide to build this, can I come back to you as a beta user? When you come back to them, there's no free beta, okay? It's a paid beta. So what you're gonna do is sell them a contract at that point at a lower cost, right? Than what it's actually gonna cost.
So let me ask you this. How do you get people to prepay? Because I know that there are sometimes where people will prepay and they will go through the development process with you.
Yeah. How do you get them to do that? We talked about Black Panther,
Mhm.
right? When did you buy the ticket to see Black Panther? Before or after you watched it?
You buy it
before.
before. I bought it actually a year before because my daughter wanted premiere tickets.
There you go. When you go to a basketball game, do you get to see if your team won before you pay for the ticket?
No.
Only place where you can get something and pay afterward is a restaurant or a hospital. Other than that, you got to prepay everything in life, right? So if the discount is great enough, right, people will prepay, right? So AppSumo is a great page for this. They have this thing called where you pay one time to get a lifetime account for software, right? That's how they get people to get a bunch of users in it. New companies get a bunch of users in their product to beta test, right? To find all the bugs and stuff. So everything in life is prepaid. There's nothing in life that isn't prepaid, right? I mean, nothing. So don't feel bad when you ask someone, hey, if you pay for it now, I got you down the road, right? So here's the great thing. I'll give you an example. With my company, PitchDB, we sold lifetime accounts for $69, $99, and $199 on our own, right? To our users, to our beta users. Like, look, you can get in here and see it, but it's gonna be this price, right? And then we turned it on. And then every month I kept raising the price. It was $20 a month at first. Then it went up to $50 a month. Then it was $99 a month. Now our cheapest plan is $299, right? Because I believe in keeping raising the price until people start complaining. If you ain't complaining at $199, it ain't high enough. I need a bunch of people to say, man, this is kind of tough. Nope, $390, $299, boom. So we have a $299 and a $499 plan now, right? Because nobody complained about it. So just keep raising the price until you get to know. And when they start complaining, then you say, okay, well, we probably should stop because too many people are complaining. But if you keep charging $20 when what you're doing is solving a $1,000 a month problem, you're a fool. You're not very good at business.
Yeah. So there was another great question, and I'm going to segue here, and that is, if you need a developer to do some custom stuff for you, let's say you can't white label it for whatever reason. And I will say, when Ron and I first had this conversation, he suggested, look for a white label first, and there was something we were considering doing, both Talisha and I, and we did. We literally went and we looked for a white label solution, and lo and behold, there it was, and with the 10K project, and many of you know what we're working on, by legal, I'll have to say legally, our lawyer has asked us to kind of curtail some of our discussions about our plans with the SEC and FINRA right now. So that's why we're not really plugging it on this call. But we found, Talisha went out and found the white label solution for that as well. So with a lot of solutions, what Ron is saying is true. There are a lot of white label solutions out there, and then you're able to take those white label solutions and put your niche on it and add a couple of things if it needs to be added, and start selling in the marketplace. It's really great.
So,
go ahead.
So let me say this. There's no new idea. Whatever you're thinking, it ain't new. Somebody already thought about it. They're just doing it for a different audience, right? Like Uber is the same thing as Postmates. One people are dropping off food, one group is dropping off people, right? Taxi cabs and Ubers have always been around, right? It's just a marketplace. So there's a great book called Lean Analytics, right? And Lean Analytics gives you all of the business models that are possible for a software company. Lean Analytics, okay? So
Yes.
if you check it out, it tells you every model and how to build it. So Uber is really a dating app. It's based on a dating app. It's a two-sided marketplace where you got somebody on this side, you got Match.com in the middle, and you got somebody on this side. Uber is the Match.com in the middle, right? It's a two-sided marketplace. Facebook is a user-generated content style business, right? So most people, you can just go out there and say, okay, I know my business is a two-sided marketplace. White label two-sided marketplace apps. You can put that up I can put up a two-sided marketplace right now for $59 on WordPress, right? I know because I did it. I've done it before, right? So with WordPress, they already got the themes that are already built if you just need a basic thing. But if you need something custom, Upwork. Upwork is the most beautiful place on earth. All of my developers come from Upwork. I've never met any of them in person. I had never seen them in person. We just talk over Skype, and they get paid every week, and they're happy, and I'm happy, right?
So let's dig into that. So,
I can't code, by the way, either. So
well,
let you
that's
know
the whole
that
point
you don't need to know
of today's conversation is how to start a tech company without knowing how to code. But okay, so you, let's say you, and I'm saying that as a euphemism, have an idea, right? Do you write out some sort of?
Can we stop? You don't have an idea. You've done customer development. You found a problem to solve. We have to change our language.
Okay, you're solving
the problem to solve.
You're solving a
There we
problem.
go.
Walk us kind of step by step through, do you create an RFP and then put it up on Upwork? Like, what's your process for finding the right person and then all the way through to go to market?
All right, so I'm going to show you something that I wish existed when I started PitchDB, right? And it's called Bubble. Bubble is genius. Like, you can drag and drop and make your own software without coding right now, right? You don't even need to know how to code, and it's all hosted on Bubble, and it works, right? One of my friends showed me this. I'm like, holy crap. And then guess what? They got a thing called Bubble Academy. So you remember I said that there's only so many types of software companies? Okay, well, what if your company is kind of like Expedia? Well, they got how to build Expedia using Bubble, right? I mean, they tell you exactly how to do it. They walk through everything so you can build your MVP. Oh, you want to build YouTube? I want to do a World Star, whatever. Here you go. They got it. They show you how to build it with Bubble right inside. They give you everything you need to do it inside of their app. They walk you through, I mean, there's pages and pages of stuff. I'm not going to scroll through all of them. But you can see they got Netflix, eBay, Zillow. You have no excuse. Ain't no more, I need to, no. Mock it up in Bubble and then send it over to the guy and say, hey, can you recreate this, right? So that's all I was doing, but I didn't have Bubble. You know what I had? I had Photoshop and I had screenshots of other people's stuff. So I have, I'm going to show you my, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm going to show you my originals from.
Yeah, and somebody's asking you to move a little bit closer to the mic, Ron.
Okay, so you can't hear me in my headphones? Let me turn
fine.
up my audio levels.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because I had it in AirPods. I can't move closer to my AirPods. So let me see if I can share this with you, right?
Oh, and Michelle Hayward is here. Hey, Michelle, she's saying that Bubble also has a community of devs that you can hire, developers.
Okay,
so,
right. So you all can see my screen now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's see if I can go back to the original, right? So this is me mocking up 5 contacts. You haven't seen 5 contacts, PitchDB. I'll show you that in a second, but these are the original mock-ups, right? Of me like getting errors, and I'm doing all of this, and all I did was went into somebody else's software and put my logo in it, right? So this ain't even mine, right? So there's a thing called Website Editor, a little thing you can put in your Chrome web browser, and it'll let you change people's websites, right? And you can put your own logo in there and say, hey, I want it to look like this. So you'll see in here, I got all these mock-ups, but this isn't like I'm on Uplead. I'm using their stuff. Like I want my pricing page to look like this. And this is all that we were doing was mocking it all up. It wasn't fully built, right? Now this is the actual built software. Now this is what it looks like now. But at the time, I was just using other people's stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, so just mock it up in whatever, you know. But we just mock up stuff. That's all. I mean, it's not fancy. It doesn't have to be fancy. You just need to be able to mock up stuff. And Bubble is a great way to do that. But you can use. I've seen people use PowerPoint because PowerPoint is clickable, and you can make it where you design in a PowerPoint. There's a thing called Balsamiq. There's a thing called mockups. You just type in mockup, wireframe, and mockup, and you can build out what your vision is of the solution, and then send it over to someone at Upwork. Excuse me. Also, one of the things you can find at Upwork is somebody to design it for you. They can do the whole mock-up for you. You don't even have to think about that. You can say, hey, I want something that does this. Most apps are really basic. So there's a CRUD app. PitchDB is a CRUD app, which means create, recall, update, and delete, right? So I need to be able to create an entry. I need to be able to pull that entry up from the database, update that database, and then delete the entry. That's a basic CRUD app. That's most software companies, right? You search for something, a CRM is that. Salesforce is a CRUD app, right? So most of your developers already know these frameworks already, so they already know where to start with you. So that's where I would start, is first with a mock-up, and then go into Upwork and say, hey, can you build this? I'm putting out an RFP for people that can you build this? And what software do you think it should be built in? But before you go to Upwork, hop on Facebook and say, I got an idea. Are there any developers that I can give $100 to answer an hour's worth of questions for me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So me being in St. Louis, I was at a building called T-Rex. So I would just go around and buy people lunch. I couldn't code, but it was a building full of developers. Dude, let's go to lunch. Can I buy you lunch? And you can walk me through this idea I got. Yeah, you should look like this. Okay, cool. Got it. And buy somebody else lunch. Hey, John said I should do this. What you think? Well, I would do that, but he don't know what he's talking about. Use this. Okay, cool. Well, John and Lisa said I should do this. And I just kept doing that until I said, okay, I got an idea. And then I started building out my mockup. And I knew to use React on the front end and Node.js on the back end. I don't know what those things are, but that's what they told me to say. Type in these names. Yeah.
Cool. So,
sorry for the rant.
No. We love it. So Felicia has a few questions here. Ron is basically suggesting cloning someone else's site, and she also asked, what about the copyrights and trademarks?
There's no copyright.
Yeah,
you can't trademark or patent computer code. Computer code is open source. Everybody can use it. You can build a Twitter clone. The problem is, here's the thing. I can give somebody PitchDB, all the code to PitchDB. If they can't sell it, it don't matter, right? So marketing is more important than what people don't understand is that the selling is more important than the actual product. There's been a lot of great products that suck, like MoviePass, great product, right? But they had a distribution problem. AMC owned all the theaters. You think AMC gonna let you come in and put them out? No. You know what they did? AMC came out with the stubs for $19, and you can see unlimited movies at AMC. Well, they own the product. They already own the distribution. They're not gonna let somebody come and put them out of business. So they just blocked MoviePass. So MoviePass wasn't allowed in 60% of the theaters in the state. So distribution is more important than product. Does that make sense?
And
Absolutely.
also
So,
your customer base also matters. That's where also there are certain apps, as you see, the Google Play and Apple Play go through a ton of apps all the time. It's who uses it and why. You could have the exact same interface, the exact same output, but something about it has a change. You can look at Meerkat and Periscope. One survived, one didn't, because you had a group of people who really resonated with the solution. So that also takes in your customer base has to like what you give them, not just the pure functionality of it. They need to, there's something that they need to connect to.
Yep, there's this guy here. I'm going to share my screen one more time.
Sure.
This guy here, Nathan Barry, he just put this blog post out this week, and it's called the $1 Billion Blog. And it talks about how people have built audiences and then sold products into that audience, right? So they built their following. They did the customer development. Pat Flynn did it with Smart Passive Income with his blog, and then now he sells a podcast player to the people who want to be like him. Nathan Barry was doing things for creators, and then he now has his company ConvertKit is email marketing for creators. So he does $2 million a month selling email marketing. Even though MailChimp exists, he's making $24 million a year selling the same product to a niche market, right? So, but he talks about how do you do that with an audience or with a blog if you're a creator. So you can check this out. It's at nathanbarry.com/billion. It's one of the best articles that I've read this year because it talks about the importance of developing a relationship with the customers and finding a problem that they have before you go out and try to build anything, right? And it says, well, some people, well, they got a T-shirt line with their name on it. Well, that's associated with their name. They can never sell that, right? Until it's separate from them. That's why, you know, unless you're Kylie Jenner, you can't sell that, right? If they take Kylie's name off of that. Let me give you a great example of this. The George Foreman grill. Take George Foreman's name off of that. That thing don't sell, right? It was because we saw him with his jolly smile and doing that crap that we bought it. We bought in the Big George. If his big fat butt can get skinny, I know I can, you know? You know? So that's what it was, right? So it really comes down to being able to the first thing again is building an audience and making sure that they are finding an audience with a problem that that you can solve. And let me caution everybody who says, well, what if they steal my idea? What if my developers, they build my thing? Again, developers, they can't sell. So it don't even matter. Don't even worry about them. And if they're on Upwork, they're not making no money anyway, because Upwork is for freelancers that are kind of struggling, right? So Upwork is an arbitrage where you're saying like, hey, these are freelancers that are either just getting started, they can't find a full-time job. And I'm over here looking for somebody to do it for cheaper, right? So that freelancer really isn't in the business of trying to steal your idea. They just want consistent work. Because if they were good at developing ideas, they wouldn't be on Upwork. They would be building whatever business that they knew how to build. So don't worry about not knowing how to code. That's one of my big things. I don't know law. I'm not going to law school so I could get checks and balances on my lawyer. I'm not going to go get an accounting degree so I can check up on my financial guy. No, we hire them to do what they do, let them do it, right? Now, what you do is you hire another lawyer to check your lawyer. And then
you have
hire
to know the
another
basics,
accountant.
yes.
Yeah,
But you have a
somebody.
technical person. I think that's where I always say I came into the industry being a coder, but shortly thereafter it was more my shift was to speak to the individuals who the business side of the house and the developers, because nobody could communicate effectively, and I could sit in between them and talk both ways. So I always say I could translate that geek really well. That has been a career changer for me, because it was like, well, we need this. Well, that's not going to help when you tell a coder that. They need more specifics. They need it much more granularly. And that became, you know, that dialogue. So I always say you do need somebody with technical proficiency, but you can hire that person just to say, tell them this or make it look like that. That's where really somebody else needs to come in. But that is not, I always say people want to automatically get into coding. Coding is not going to help you. If that's not what you do and you don't want to do it and you're begrudgingly taking it on, don't do it. There's people to hire for that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing is that at the beginning, you're just trying to get what they call an MVP, minimum viable product, meaning does it work? Right? If I turn it on, do what it's supposed to do. Yeah, okay. All right, that's what they paid for. Let's get these people in. Now they can help me to put makeup on it to make it pretty, right? But if I show you like you saw the original PitchDB stuff, it doesn't look like that now, but we've made it a little prettier because we've added a bunch of stuff based on user feedback. So at the beginning, you need to get that MVP done, and then you'll build a let me say this. In Upwork, find a full stack developer, meaning he does front end and back end. That'll save you a lot of money. My first full stack developer cost me $6 an hour here in Colombia, right? $6 an hour, right? Do you hear what I said?
That's
$6 an hour.
Like I had a stroke, I think. Just
Okay, $6 an hour, and he built the entire product.
That's
He
crazy.
built the first MVP
wow.
on $6 an hour, right? And then, you know, now he makes more because he manages 3 other developers, right? But he started off at $6 an hour. You know, my main developers now make $10 an hour. My researchers that do a lot of the research for us, I pay them $3.50 an hour, right? So, you know, I got $3.50 person. I have 2 $10 people, 1 $20 person, and 1 guy that makes like $5, right? And they're all from Upwork. Everybody's on Upwork, right? So one of the things I told Santiago, my developer, was, hey, I need to get some people under me. If you know some great coders that are your friends that are struggling, that need some money, hire them and you manage them since they're your friends. I'll pay you and you pay them. And that's what we've been doing. So I pay him a certain amount. He makes a cut off of all of his friends that he's outsourced. And he's made enough money that he doesn't even live in Colombia anymore. He moved to Canada because we pay him so much.
I'm out. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes left here. So I want to do 2 things. Number one, everyone in the chat, let me know one thing that you picked up from Ron today. One thing, we're going to read through them. So one thing you picked up from Ron today, put that in the chat. The other thing, Ron, is what are some resources that you know of with regards to how people can learn how to sell? Because we can agree that it's not the coding, it's being able to sell. So resources, books, videos, you know, content that people should know.
Okay, so there's 2 types of selling, right? One is consultative selling, when you're selling something of high dollar, right? If what you're selling, if what your user is going to be paying is $9 a month, you don't really want to spend 2 hours trying to convince them to buy it. Does that make sense? That should be automated. That's called copywriting and things like that, for learning how to write for a web page. So, so that people don't have to log into, so that people don't have to talk to you to buy it. They can just go to the web page and you learn how to do copywriting. The other type of selling is called consultative selling. That's when you're meeting with people face to face and you're trying to sell them on an annual contract. So I had to make a decision if I wanted to sell something at $9 a month, PitchDB, or if I wanted to sell an annual contract at $3,000 a year or $300 a month if they pay monthly. I chose to go that route because it would take me 300 people to get the same amount of money as I could get from one person, right? So I'm like, yeah, let me just sell the higher ticket and then go down, right? So I encourage everybody, if you're going to start something and it's your first thing, start something that's high ticket first, and that can just be a course, right? Course is our technology, right? You know, that's software. You can use a course teaching what you know to get the money to learn how to build a software to give those people down the road. But start with a high dollar plan, like Vera Wang. Vera Wang didn't start off in Target, okay? She in Target now, but she wasn't in Target first. She was selling $100,000 wedding dresses, right? You know, so you start at a high market and you go down. Companies that have tried to go up never make it up because people have already associated that brand with a low ticket item. And at that low ticket item, you don't have enough cash to survive, right? So if I get 10 people to give me $3,000, I got 30 grand for PitchDB, right? But if I got 10 people giving me $10, well, come on, man, I'm struggling. I can't even pay the light bill. I can't even pay my bills here in Colombia with that, right? So I believe starting high and then going down. That's what I would do. So how do you learn how to sell that? That's the main question. I want to give you some context first. There's a course called Professional Selling Skills, right? It's called Professional Selling Skills. It costs $2 grand It's 3 days. It's the best sales course on earth today. Okay. I don't recommend any other selling courses. Everybody else is teaching you crap. I've been through them all. Grant Cardone, all these people. They don't know what they're talking about. They're hustlers. That ain't what you want to be doing. You want to learn how to truly sell your ideas to people. So it's called PSS, Professional Selling Skills. I think it's by a company called Achieve Global. Well, they got bought by somebody else, but it's like $1,800. They do live seminars and online in Chicago, San Francisco. That's the sales training that I was taught. It's the one that I've taught. You know, I used to manage over 500 agents for Farmers Insurance. That's what we taught them, right? So, I mean, it's the backbone of all professional enterprise selling companies. They all use PSS. Everybody. It's the standard for the industry for any large sale. Sorry for the rant, but
No, I love your rant. So, Talisha, what do you think?
I think, again, these are the greatest conversations because I think people are inhibited. The solution really does come first. And I'm so happy that you press that customer discovery because, again, you can't build anything in a bubble in the sense. And your idea is like, oh, it's great, but it's great for you because you think of it that way. You really do need to have that conversation with those people who are doing things every single day to really get your head around some of the things that you may be thinking may not truly be the solution that they're looking for. So why build something that really isn't indicative of your true audience and who are going to pay you? Because without your customer, you have no business. You may have products, but you need somebody to buy them from you. So always keep that in mind. And like I said, tech is not the first thing to consider. The solution is, and then you can retrofit whatever your solution is to a viable tech solution.
Yeah, I think the solution is, and then I think second is the business model. So, you know, are you going higher end? Are you going lower end? Are people prepaying for a year? You know, are they on a year contract? Like I have one company I'm working with right now, and they told me when I signed up, you have to do this for a year, no matter what. Even if you decide 2 months in, you want to get out of it, you know, and they don't let people squirm out of it. So, you know, I do think that you do need to think about that as well. I also think that people underestimate the power of knowing how to sell. And for that reason, they don't invest in sales skills. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you know, not this group here, but a lot of people are trying to look, you know, pretty on the gram, yet they don't have the bank account behind it, or they don't know the skills in order to ethically persuade somebody, because that's what sales is, ethically persuading somebody to exchange money for whatever product or service you're offering. So, you know, yes.
Can I share something with you, Sheree?
Go ahead. I wanted to say one more thing.
Okay.
So if you don't have the $2,000 yet, or whatever the cost is for that professional selling.
Spin Selling by Neil Rockman.
Spin Selling is one I've heard of. So I was going to say there's a book called Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port, which is also a good one as well. It's a book, so it's like $20. You can get it on Amazon or any place like that. And starting off small with something like that can get you to the point where you're able to spend, you know, the $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 on the right structure and information to learn how to sell. And with knowing how to sell, you can make millions of dollars a year.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Right?
Go ahead.
So people will go out and invest in the product, but they don't know how to sell, right? But in order for the product to succeed, you got to know how to sell, right? So let me tell you what happens in tech companies all the time, right? They hire somebody like me to come in and we say, okay, we'll be your sales mercenary. Because people say, I can just hire salespeople. No, you can't. Let me tell you why. Because in the development of your product at the beginning, that's intellectual property that I'm learning, right? The questions that I'm asking when I'm selling and I'm learning what the problems are and all of that, when I leave, when I tell you, man, I don't want to work with you no more because you ran out of money, you can't download my brain and everything that I learned. How are you going to download everything I learned from meeting with your 300 customers? You can't even pay me enough to keep me. So how you gonna download all the IP that I've developed? So the number one salesperson in your company has to be the CEO, because you got to pitch the investors, you got to pitch the bank, you got to pitch your first customers, and you cannot allow that IP to go out to other people. You can't say, hey, Cherie, I know you, give me all the information you learned about all the people you interviewed for me. Cherie gonna be like, dude, you still owe me $3,000, get out of here, right? I'm not even taking your call, right? So not only did I lose the relationship because we couldn't make any money, but I lost the IP that's invaluable that Cherie would have gained by going out and selling those people. So what I wanted to do is to share my screen here to show you how, like, evidence that people overlook this. So this is espionage, and we can find out how many times something is searched in Google. Watch this. How many times would you guess sales training is searched in the United States, in the US? 4,400 times a month.
That's
Do you hear
extremely
me?
low. That is very low.
Boy, there's 1 billion searches a day. Okay? Nobody is searching. People's like, Ron, you should create a course to teach people how to sell. No, never. Ain't nobody trying to learn how to sell. People just want to get patted on the back about their ideas. I'm not teaching no sales course. Sales training for entrepreneurs. Let's look that up. Entrepreneur. Right? Look at that. How much did that say? Not available. If I spelled it right. Right? I mean, nobody's searching for that. Nobody.
That's sad.
But everybody wants to say they got a startup. And we just gonna run Facebook ads. Facebook is profiting off the ignorant. Okay? People I'll put $1,000 in Facebook. They don't get any money back out of it. And then they start a new idea, put another $1,000 in Facebook. Facebook ain't gonna help you sell. You still gotta learn how to sell. This makes sense.
So how many people are Googling make more money? I'm just curious.
Just make money alone is $12,100 a month.
So the difference is astronomical. I mean,
Yeah, right?
12,000% more people want to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, you can, how to start a business.
And that shows you that people are more concentrated on the end result than
Mm-hmm.
the beginning.
Well, then the skill.
So people are
then the
searching for
skill
these things
that's
all
needed.
the Yeah, nobody is searching for people aren't searching for the training. They're not taking the training,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I've tried to talk to people like, look, I can help you with sales. No, can you just do it for us? Nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna beat you, right? I'll just, why would I? Here's what hiring a salesperson, right? And I see someone put, people don't like to sell. I agree, right? Because sales has been made a caricature in TV, right? The best salespeople, you would never knew that they were selling you anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like right now, I'm selling everybody on how to start a business the right way. It doesn't feel like I'm selling you. It feels like I'm teaching you, right? But wait, there's more. No, there's no offer at the end. But that's what people think is going to come, right? So the best salespeople are really good leaders, right? They're good at motivating you to take the action that's in your best interest. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people don't like selling, but if you can't sell, you're screwed. Like, I mean, what can you do? I forgot my train of thought. I was going to go somewhere, but it must not have been that important. But learn how to sell. It's the most important thing. You have to be the best salesperson in your company. There's no way around it. And if you're not willing to do that, then why even start a company, right? Because somebody will just compete with you. Oh, this is what I was going to say real quick. Hiring an outside salesperson at the beginning is basically, you're saying this, hey, Ron, go find the people that have money, hit them over the head, shake them upside down and get all the money out of their pocket, pick up all the money, bring it back to me so I can give you some. No, I'll just do that and keep it all. I don't need your idea is goofy. We can build this for 10 grand. Like, I don't No, you need to learn how to sell yourself because nobody's going to go and crack someone over the head, find a prospect, sell them, shake them upside down and get all the money, right? Pick up the money, process the payment so that you can give me my 10%.
And your
Yeah,
customer
okay.
discovery has given you that ability to have the sale already.
Have the
So why
sales,
would you need
yes.
to? If you've
I don't
already
even,
done the preemptive work, you have already lined them up, set them up, and now you're just like, here it is. Are you ready for it? And they're like, yeah, we've been waiting. Thanks.
Yeah.
exactly. So customer development takes you from a salesperson to an order taker, right? At McDonald's, they don't sell you on the Big Mac. They just say, can I take your order? She didn't say, can I sell you something? Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order? Right? That's if you do customer development the right way, you're just taking orders.
Taking orders. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
like
I
that.
will say that the best salespeople, in my opinion, are the best teachers. And when I'm writing business plans for people and people call me, I teach them, the art in essence of writing an investable business plan. And they say, okay, Cherie, how much? So, so yeah, and it doesn't take very long to do that, to get people to say, oh, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. They get my problem. I know that they have the solution for me. And so we have like a couple of minutes left because I do have another call, but Ron, I wanted to be able to give you, the floor. Before I do that, Talisha, I want to give you the floor. Any final comments for everyone with regards to this topic?
I just think we have to, again, change that conversation, change our language about how we deal with sales. And again, what our ideas are, because they're not ideas, they are solutions to problems that our customers are going to have.
Ron?
Yep. So always start with the problem. If you aren't solving a problem, you don't have a business. A lot of times we have great ideas. Be sure that your ideas are being validated with money. If somebody's not willing to validate your idea with money, don't do that business. You're going to destroy your life, right? When you start a business, don't quit your job to start the business, right? Especially if you don't know how to code. What you going to be doing anyway? You ain't got nothing. Keep your job and start selling, doing these interviews at night. And if you ain't willing to do that, then don't even get into it because you're going to burn the candle at both ends. You're going to be paying these developers with no money coming in and you're going to go broke. And then you're going to be entrepreneurially unemployable. Okay. All right. Meaning that you
That's a
have
new
a hard
term.
time. Yeah, exactly. Right. Entrepreneurial unemployment is when you started a business, you ran out of money and you try to get back into the workforce and they say, hey, what were you doing over the last 2 years? Oh, I tried to start a software company. Oh, what happened? Well, it didn't go well. I needed to work on it. Oh, you ever plan on working on it again? Yeah, probably someday. Nope, we're not hiring you because
I'm not going to hire
you're
you.
still an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So either you got to learn to sell or be a great liar in your future interviews, telling them you never want to be an entrepreneur ever again and go
That's
back
true.
with your hat in your hand.
That's true.
Um,
Or you
but
can get
learn
a sales position as an entrepreneur. That may work. So I will say that this is the Building Black Wealth series. And one of the great things about this topic is it's racially agnostic. And what I mean by that is if we have great solutions, great technology solutions, for example, it doesn't matter that we're Black. Calendly, for example, I didn't even know. I've been using Calendly for years. I just found out this year that it's a Black woman that started that
Black
company.
man.
A Black man, sorry. A Black man that started that company. I had no idea. So these types of opportunities can level the playing field. Well, am I saying it's going to be totally leveled? No, I'm not that naive. But that's one of the great things that today's session can bring to us. So that.
Can I say one last thing?
One last thing. Yes, sir.
There are enormous numbers of problems to solve, right? If everybody who's on this call today just found one problem to solve, it doesn't have to make you $1 million. If it made you 10 grand, 20 grand a year automated, that's huge, right? So here's my basic formula to get $1 million. If you take $1,000 and just learn to double it every year for 10 years, you'll have $1 million. So 1,000 the first year, 2,000 the second year, 4,000 the third year, 8,000, 16, 32, 64. But it's the 9 years of learning that people want to skip. Everybody wants to skip to the 512. No. 9 years of getting that 512,000 that turns it into $1 million, right? Because you got to be able to double that down the road. So don't think you need $1 billion. Just understand, solve a problem today and keep solving it. And over time, imagine if you had 300 people that paid you $50 a month forever. 300 people, that's 15 grand a month. Most people ain't making 15 grand. They act like it, they not. 15 grand, okay? I'm just saying, you don't need a lot. One person a week for 6 years, you can retire.
Yeah. And with that, we shall leave everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this session. And Ron, how can people reach out to you?
Ron Story Jr. on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, Ron Story Jr. If you want to get booked on podcasts so that you can share your product or share your wisdom or knowledge with people, check us out at PitchDB. Put 10K Project in the referral code, and I'll give you a free account with some pitches so that you can use it and promote your product or business or service or expertise. Ron Story Jr. and pitchdb.com. PITCHDB.com. Referral code 10K Project. You'll get a free account.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Hope
you,
everyone, I'm sorry, Talisha?
Thank you. I was just thanking him.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I hope everyone had a great time. I hope you learned something. God bless you. We'll see you next time.
Have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.